Well, I'm bored just waiting for paint to dry, basically. So, um, I am just getting my second set of coil packs cleaned up. Just thought I'd take a quick video on how I deal with the ugly coil packs on an LS motor. And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, they're ugly. It was one of the hardest things for me to do when I went from my TPI motor to the LS1, because the TPI, regardless of how you think it runs and how, its potential is, it's a good looking motor. That TPI intake is just, it's unique. It's got nice lines. It fits in the third gen styling very well. And the LS motor is very good looking too, except for those coil packs. Now, what I did on my car was I did pick up a set of fuel rail covers, and the obvious the obvious caveat with this is it says Corvette in big red letters, and I haven't gotten around to filling that in. Um, and part of the reason for that is I like the way this looks. I wish I could have this say Pontiac or something and have it look just like this, the same finish. Um, not have sanding marks and not have to sand it smooth and or not have to use textured paint. Like, I just haven't gotten around to figuring out how I want to do this, but I do run these usually because they really look good on the LS motor. So what I decided to do though was basically to make this a little more tolerable, because I don't know if I'm going to put the vet covers back on just yet. Um, One of the most simple things you can do is take your coil pack apart and just clean it. Um, I mean, these things were completely black and dirty and grimy. And I wish I would have started this before I finished, but it's very simple. You just pull them off, and I use a little cheapy old toothbrush, and I put a little bit of brake cleaner on it and just kind of loosen up the dirt, and then get a rag and just wipe it. And I am a fan of how these look when they're clean versus painted. I know a lot of people paint them, and I've seen them look good in a couple instances, but I've also seen them look kind of tacky and weird. So I think a really clean set, and I don't go, I'm not going to worry about painting, where the paint is missing, because that a bolt goes on there. You'll never see that anyway. The next thing that I do, well, I did this time, was I painted the brackets. You can clean them up and they look all right, but um, nothing is going to look as good as just a fresh coat of like semi. I think I'm using semi gloss. It's kind of like my go-to for just about everything. This one looks probably look a little different because I had to weld a. This is the passenger side on my car, and as you third gen swappers know, the number 8 coil pack likes to hit the factory HVAC box, excuse me. And so I had to kind of previously I just kind of bent it, and the coil was just kind of oddly positioned, and it was actually a little tight with the boot with the plug wire. So I welded a tab on there to get it right where I wanted it. Anyway, yeah, throw a coat of paint on them. Just scuff them up with a Scotch-Brite pad and throw some paint on them. They'll look brand new when you're done. And then lastly, well, the other thing I do is clean this up. This wiring harness, that tinfoil heat reflective tape that's on there. If you put a little bit of brake cleaner on a rag and wipe it, or a toothbrush, it will clean up and shine up nice. And the same with these plugs. You just want to get the grime off. You don't want them to look completely crap, but it's really hard to make those look brand new. But again, they're kind of tucked away. And then you'll see this big pile of hardware. Um, I just went to Ace and just grabbed a bunch of socket heads, stainless, and some washers, and um, got some button heads too, just to kind of play with it. And what I came up with was I'm going to mount the coils to the coil rail with these bigger socket heads, and these are M6x1, and these are 20 millimeters long, I think. I think these are 20s, with a washer. That'll hold them on nicely. And then the to hold the rail to the valve cover, I use these button heads, and I use two different lengths because the bracket has two locations have like a longer, kind of like a locating dowel that goes into the valve cover, and I find that these just don't go in as far as I like them to. So I use two longer ones, and I'm not really sure what size they are, but somebody else asked me online once how long they were. So you know what? I'll just measure real quick here. These look like they're 15. The longer one's 15, so I'm guessing this is a 10. Measuring like 12, so they're pretty close, like maybe 15 or 16 and 12. I'm not sure. Sometimes these metric hardware have some weird sizes, but you can just go and find what works for you. But I have my other side done. Obviously, you won't see the button head bolts, but you can kind of see what it looks like with the painted bracket, and it's kind of scratched up because it was going on and off. But you know, the bracket's painted, and the coils are clean, and you can see that stainless hardware looks pretty good. Speaking of the hardware, if I do want to run these fuel rail covers again, for those of you that don't know, they actually, well, they snap onto the fuel rail, and then they also snap onto little stems down on that side, and those stems are these right here. They replace these bottom bolts. I think, I don't know, maybe these 3, or I just used 2. Oops, sorry. I just used 2 because it doesn't really need much. So if it comes to that again, I will have to pull these out and just put these factory ones back in there. And yes, you won't be able to see any of this if I use the fuel rail cover, but you know what? I know that it's clean, and I know that if I pop those covers off, you know, and I have somebody looking under my hood, it's not going to be quite an eyesore as they can be. You can also relocate your coils. Some people do that. I couldn't find a good spot for them that I liked. I don't have a deep cowl that the 4th gen cars have, so I can't hide them under there. And then I have, you know, conversion headers, so it kind of makes it tight on either side of the motor. But anyway, that was just my paint drying paint drying time waster. I'm going to hopefully get that. Once that dries, I'm going to mount these up and get my coils on the car, and I'm going to start working on my brakes because I need to get those straightened out. And then I don't know, we might get some use out of these coils today. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can maybe fire it up. So thanks for watching.